The night always feels a little heavier in South Bend when the season ends too early. And this year, that weight sat on the shoulders of everyone from the ticket takers outside Notre Dame Stadium to the players who walked out of the GUG with headphones on, avoiding eye contact with the cameras waiting for a soundbite that never came. Notre Dame had finished 10-2, winners of 10 straight, a team that looked more complete in November than at any point in the Marcus Freeman era. They were physical, polished, furious at the line of scrimmage, and efficient in a way that made analysts across every major network quietly pencil them into the new 12-team college football playoff. It felt inevitable. It felt earned. And it felt, in the way so many seasons before have for Notre Dame, like a story still being written. But when the committee released its rankings, the Irish were left staring at number 11, a number that reverberated across the college football world with a thud. The playoff door didn't just close, it slammed shut. Less than 24 hours later, Notre Dame announced it would decline any bowl invitation. No charity exhibition, no consolation matchup in a half-empty stadium. Not after this. Not when the locker room believed it was built for something far greater. And at the center of that emotional storm stood athletic director Pete Bevacqua, not hiding behind statements or vague administrative language, but addressing the moment with a clarity that felt almost defiant. He spoke with purpose, not only about the frustration of a postseason denied, but about the man he believes is steering the most important program under Notre Dame's banner, head coach Marcus Freeman. In a moment that could have easily been clouded by disappointment, Bevacqua made it unmistakably clear that the university's priority was not licking wounds or issuing carefully scripted messages about moving forward. Instead, he chose to plant a flag in the soil of the sport's future, signaling to every NFL front office and every college program monitoring the coaching carousel that Notre Dame intends to keep its rising star rooted firmly in South Bend. He told beat writer Pete Sampson that he wants Freeman at the top tier of the college coaching hierarchy when it comes to compensation. 3 tops, not 1, not 2. A repetition that sounded less like an accidental flourish and more like the kind of intentional echo you hear from someone who understands the high-stakes marketplace swirling around his coach. Freeman, after all, has become one of the most coveted names in football, not just college football, football, period. Elevated to the head coaching role in late 2021 after becoming a player favorite during his defensive coordinator tenure, Freeman inherited a program with pressure baked into every practice rep and every offseason media cycle. But he didn't simply stabilize Notre Dame, he accelerated it. He guided the Irish to the 2025 national championship game, following a 2024 season that delivered the highest modern win total in program history, an almost unbelievable ascent for a second-time head coach who, at 35, found himself thrust into one of the most iconic jobs in sports. Through 5 seasons, he has compiled a 43-12 mark, a 5.782 winning percentage that situates him among the elite coaches in the nation. But beyond the numbers, beyond the wins, the postseason runs, the NFL draft hauls, there is a presence to Marcus Freeman that resonates on and off the field. His players swear by him, his staff trusts him, his recruits follow him not because of the gold helmets or the national NBC window, but because of the authenticity he carries into every living room and every team meeting. When he speaks about culture, it doesn't sound like branding. It sounds like belief. That belief has drawn attention far beyond Indiana. NFL insiders, coordinators with influence, and owners in search of the next young face of their franchise have kept Freeman's name on shortlists for nearly a year. His poise on the sideline, his defensive pedigree, his understanding of modern roster dynamics, and his ability to command an entire building have made him an attractive candidate for organizations desperate to find a leader who can connect with a new generation of players while navigating the complexities of quarterback development, analytics integration, and year-round organizational planning. Add to that his age and his reputation for building relationships, and you have a coach whose upward trajectory is both real and rapid. For the NFL, he represents possibility. For Notre Dame, he represents identity. And so Bevacqua's comments were not merely supportive, they were strategic. Freeman's current contract projects to pay him roughly $7.4 million in 2025, with total earnings that could approach $54 million by the end of the decade. In almost any other era, that figure would place a coach among the sport's most secure and celebrated. But this is the age of the 9-figure mega contract, where top-tier Power 5 programs willingly cross into 8-digit annual salaries for a chance to anchor stability in a profession built on volatility. Coaches like Kirby Smart, Nick Saban before his retirement, Dabo Swinney, Lincoln Riley, and Brian Kelly pushed the marketplace into new territory, redefining what it costs to maintain a seat at the contemporary college football table. 10 to 13 million per year has become the new standard for the elite. And as Bevacqua knows, if Notre Dame intends to place Freeman inside that top tier, the university must craft an offer that meaningfully closes the financial gap, not symbolically, not partially, but in a way that reverberates across the sport with the same intensity as the comment that set all of this in motion. That would likely mean significant increases to Freeman's base compensation, expanded performance bonuses tied to playoff appearances, national championships, and program milestones, and a fortified buyout that signals long-term investment while discouraging predatory interest from the outside. It could also mean reimagining support structures around him, larger budgets for staff retention, enhanced NIL alignment, expanded recruiting resources, and infrastructural improvements that allow Notre Dame to keep pace with the rapidly shifting demands of roster management. Because if Notre Dame wants its coach to be treated like the sport's elite, it must ensure that the ecosystem around him reflects that same level of ambition. Freeman, for his part, has rarely spoken publicly about contract numbers or NFL speculation, preferring to focus on the work in front of him. But he's human. He hears the chatter. He knows that a window has opened for him, one that doesn't remain open for every coach, and one that, if he chose to pursue it, could rewrite the trajectory of his career. The question is not whether he is capable of coaching at the professional level. The question is what fulfills him more, the pull of the NFL dream or the gravitational force of a program that has embedded itself into his identity. In those moments after the playoff snub, Freeman walked to the stadium tunnel, quiet, composed, acknowledging fans but carrying a weight that only he could fully understand. This season was supposed to end differently, but the margins of the sport never owe anyone fairness. He shook hands, offered hugs, and carried that same steady presence into a locker room filled with players who were stunned, angry, emotional. Some sat at their lockers in full pads long after the final home game ended. Some stared at their phones as the rankings dropped. Others tried to rationalize what felt irrational. Freeman talked to them not like a coach trying to calm chaos, but like a leader trying to anchor perspective. He reminded them that their body of work still mattered, that the legacy of their season was not erased by a committee room, that their unity had reshaped the arc of the program. And yet there was something else in his voice, an undertone of resolve, that suggested he knew the next chapter was coming quickly. Bevacqua's public support was more than a show of solidarity. It was a line drawn in the sand. Notre Dame is not a program that negotiates from fear, but it is also not blind to the stakes. Losing Freeman to the NFL would not simply mean hiring another coach. It would mean interrupting a cultural renaissance, resetting momentum, and asking a roster built around Freeman's ethos to adapt to new leadership. In an era defined by player mobility, NIL recalibration, and realignment uncertainty, stability is a rare commodity. And right now, Marcus Freeman is the embodiment of that stability. It's why fans have embraced him so deeply, why players run through walls for him, and why administrators are preparing to make sure he is compensated at a level that reflects not only what he has accomplished, but what they believe he will still accomplish. And perhaps that's the paradox of the moment. Both paths in front of Freeman are compelling. The NFL will always carry allure. The challenge, the prestige, the chance to prove oneself among the sport's best. Those opportunities do not come often. But Notre Dame offers something the professional ranks cannot replicate: legacy, tradition, the chance to build something generational, the chance to etch one's name alongside Rockne, Parsigan, Holtz, the chance to chase a national championship under the Golden Dome, where every victory echoes through decades of football mythology. As the days unfold and the speculation intensifies, the wind outside Notre Dame Stadium will feel colder, the conversations around campus will stretch later into the night, and the national media will circle like they always do when a major story breaks in South Bend. But the heartbeat of the program remains steady. Marcus Freeman is still here, Pete Bevacqua is still fighting to secure the future, and Notre Dame, hurt, frustrated, proud,